Hi everyone, this is Diana with Mirapath with our Thought Leader series here, and I have Marcio Saito from Opengear with us today. Welcome, Marcio.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So you've been CTO of Cyclades, you've been at Avocent, now you're CTO of Opengear. Can you tell us a little bit about why out-of-band is still relevant today?
Out-of-band is relevant because if you're managing servers or storage systems, today you can rely on the network always being available. And if you make that assumption, managing the infrastructure is relatively easy. You can do that in-band, you can do that in a very efficient and effective way. Now, if you're managing the network infrastructure itself, you need an insurance policy. You need to be able to reach your infrastructure even when the network is down. And that's why today out-of-band technologies are still very important for people managing network infrastructure.
Right, because despite all the improvements in the data center world or in the IT infrastructure, the network still doesn't have a backup.
You can't, you don't have anyone to rely on. So network out-of-band technologies help the network management people, and the network then is available to help everyone else.
Got it. And help us through. I know you participate in a lot of panels and so forth, and there's a lot of buzzwords that happen in our industry like IoT and embedded data center and the edge. Help us sort through all those words and then what is it?
Yeah, so all those words are related to the same pattern, right? So what happened in the last 10 years with the emergence of cloud computing is that a lot of the IT complexity migrated from the edge of the network towards the cloud data center. And what's happening now is that a lot of those technologies are becoming more popular. So IoT is becoming mainstream. You have increased consumption of video content. You have new applications like virtual reality, and with a lot of data, generating a lot of data. And with that, there will be the need to deploy complexity or IT infrastructure, again, close to the edge of the network. So we are going back in terms of expanding the scope of complexity in the network. And what's going to happen is that the importance of that ability for you to deploy and to manage remote infrastructure is going to increase again, right? So in the last 10 years, we have been focusing on the data center. I think in the next 10 years, we're going to go back to the branches and to the edge data centers and deploy equipment closer to the user.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like the mainframe, the distributed, and we're kind of in a similar pattern.
Yes, it's a pendulum, right? So if you have been long enough in the IT industry, you notice that we go back and forth. The technologies change, the techniques change, but we are always going back and forth between those tricks.
One of the other trends that's happening that I hear a lot about is SDN, software-defined networks. So how does that affect our network engineers and our customer base?
Yeah, so like virtualization did in the compute space, SDN is decoupling the dependence between hardware and software, and that's going to change in a lot of ways how networks are designed, built, and managed. I think for the network engineer, right, who might be watching this video, the consequence is that you are going to be required to, rather than rely on systems that are vertically integrated, provided by vendors, you're going to be required to integrate those solutions yourself, right? So we are going to be relying more on commodity hardware, we are going to be relying more on open source software, and things like ability to program in Python is going to become more important, relatively more important than a Cisco certification, for example. Okay. Right? So there is a change in the profile of people working in the network infrastructure.
Right. So we hear a lot of DevOps, or it's kind of similar to that.
So it's DevOps, it's automation, it's the ability to program and scripted things.
Right. So given all these trends that we kind of talked about a little here, how is that affecting the way that you design and build the solutions at Opengear?
Yeah, so I think in terms of hardware, the trends are to making products that are smaller, low power, more robust, and that can be deployed in different places, right? Can be deployed in the data center in a very well controlled environment, as well as installed in an IT closet somewhere, which might not be as secure or as controlled as a data center. So there is a lot of thought going to that. In software is security, always security. and the ability to automate workflows, the ability to support the automation of IT infrastructure management.
Okay, great. And I know we're having a breakfast, a CTO breakfast with our company sometime in June, so if our audience is interested in that, we can check it out on Mirapath or Opengear for those dates and the times of that event.
Yeah, we're going to be focusing on automation in that conversation. Yeah, we have been learning a lot from our very large customers, and we are interested in sharing the knowledge we acquired with other customers.
Okay, which customer is that?
The big ones? I cannot talk about them.
Okay, I tried. Okay, so some fun questions. If you could use one word to describe Mirapath, what would that be?
I think it would be customer focus. I think Mirapath knows very well how to walk that line between representing the customer's interest and maintaining a good relationship with vendors like ourselves.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. One more question. I know I've known you for a long time, and I know you've done a lot in your career, both in technology, being an advisor to companies, as well as you were blogging before blogging became a thing, you know. What else are you up to these days?
I still spend a lot of time with technology, but I like to spend time outdoors, so I do a lot of outdoor stuff. In the last few years, I have been dedicating a lot of effort in fiction writing, so I have been writing short stories and trying to publish them.
He's very humble. He actually published one of his short stories, and it's available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, you can go to Amazon.com and search for Flash Fiction Magazine. Book 1 is a collection of short stories, and there is one of my stories there.
Great, wonderful. If you see a spike in purchases, let me
Yes.
know. Well, thank you so much, Marcio, for being here. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts with our audience, and we'll see you at the CTO luncheon. Hopefully some of you will attend as well. And follow us on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And thank you so much, Marcio.
Thank you, Leona. Thank you.